I remember when I first started going to therapy, I was embarrassed. I did not want to tell anybody because just the thought of me actually telling those people my business,
Mhm.
I just felt like, okay, I don't know, maybe I just feel like it was kind of like stereotype almost.
Mhm.
But again, now that I'm out of the thick of it and I look back at it, I feel the same way about like what you just said. It's like, okay, it was a reason for that. Because if
Mhm.
I didn't go through postpartum, if I didn't get a therapist, if I didn't, run that race, if I didn't do the fitness competition, if I didn't hire trainers, I wouldn't be the person who I am today. If I didn't have my daughter, this
Yeah.
business would not have been birthed at all. So again, my experiences helped me become the woman that I am today. And I'm super grateful for that. I'm super proud of that.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the Beauty in You podcast. I'm so excited for this one, guys, because I do feel that this conversation is very much needed. Our guest today is a certified master trainer, fitness enthusiast, and founder of Tonyael Miller Fitness. Through her business, she has trained, educated, and motivated hundreds of women worldwide by sharing her experiences and struggles as a single mom and mental health advocate. Welcome to the Beauty in You podcast, Mama. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
I am very excited to have you. I'm very excited to have this conversation. I know we're going to talk about some real life things that need to be talked about, especially in our community, the African American community. So I just can't wait to dive in. So you already know where I'm about to go with this. I'm about to ask you to tell me your rediscovery journey and take me on the ride.
Okay, so as she mentioned, I am a master certified personal trainer. I'm also a mental health advocate and a fitness enthusiast. So I wasn't always a fitness enthusiast. I wasn't always a certified personal trainer either. So I actually got diagnosed with postpartum depression back in 2012, right after I had my daughter Janelle. And at that moment, being a therapist, at that moment, I just felt like it was a lot going on. I didn't really know what to do. I just felt like I wasn't myself.
Mhm.
I am kind of like into holistic health, I am into holistic health now, but at the time I didn't know that I was into holistic health. But I've always been against medication. So I knew that me going to the doctor, I knew the first thing that they were going to do is just try to, suggest me being on some type of
Mhm.
medication in order to help with the postpartum depression. So at the time when I was diagnosed, I was actually in my first trimester. So I'm like, no, I don't want to take any medication because I don't want it to affect my daughter. I don't want her to have, some type of defects after she's born, and I don't want it to affect me as well. So they recommended me to do talk therapy with the therapist.
Mhm.
And going into the talk therapy, I'm just thinking like, this is going to be something off TV. I'm just going to lay there in the chair. This lady is going to write all of these notes, and it's just going to, just be like how it is off TV. So to my surprise, my experience was amazing. It was different. My therapist, she was young. She was kind of my peer. She actually had went to the same college as me, so we actually had a lot in common. And the experience was just amazing. Like literally from the moment that I got there, she just made me feel comfortable. She listened to me. I did like the fact that I felt like that she pretty much was non-biased when it came to a lot of things. So she wasn't my family member or my friends. So everything wasn't like, yes, I agree with you. If it was
Mhm.
something that I was doing wrong or that she felt like was detrimental to my health, then she would let me know, like, you need to change this or you need to work on that. So again, fast forward to that journey, she was an avid runner, and she actually had recommended me to start working out. So back then, I was not the workout person that I am now. So back then, every year when I used to run and do them out, I actually used to get a doctor's excuse when I was in high school because I couldn't run.
That's funny.
But I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna try this. I want to get myself together, post baby and see how it goes. And from there, that was my first major accomplishment. I was able to run 10 miles in under 2 hours. Of course, I
Ooh.
trained for it. But yeah, so I was still seeking a therapist. I hired a trainer in order to get me in shape for the run. And then after that, just I think the fitness enthusiast was born.
Mhm.
So I don't know, it was just something that just sparked a new confidence in me and just helped me become the woman that I am today.
Yes. I love everything about that. I love everything about your story, especially what you're doing now, which is keeping people in shape, looking good, but you also do the mental health side of it. But I want to take it back to the postpartum because I think that's something that is, we hear it a little bit more now, but not so much then.
Right.
And I think it's important that we talk about that and the importance of going to therapy. Um, did you have any restrictions at first, besides the medication, about going to seek a therapist?
Um, I was open to it. So I
Mhm,
would say the restrictions were more, again, my family.
mhm,
So, and especially with us being a part of the African American community, most of the time, especially our elders, they like to say to pray about things. And
mhm,
again, I was born in church, raised in church, always went to church. So I wasn't against prayer, but I just knew that I needed to do something extra added on top of the prayer because I was doing all the things that I would normally do and it wasn't working. And then again, when I was talking to my family, I just felt like they were always like they really didn't understand what I was going through. So I
mhm.
knew that it was something wrong and that I didn't feel the same. And I wasn't comfortable sharing all the things that were going on as far as my daughter's dad, just the way that I was feeling, like all the things that were happening in my life. Like again, for me, I felt like pregnancy was supposed to be the happiest experience of my life. And something that was supposed to be the happiest moment was one of the saddest moments. And I just knew that I didn't want this to have an effect on my child later on in life.
Yeah, and I think you hit all the points I wanted you to hit, actually. But I think it's important that we talk about it because your family, especially African American family with mental health, it's always don't be telling those folks your business.
Our
Um,
business,
mhm, get through it. I've been through it. You'll be fine. Girl, don't worry about it. Yes, pray about it. And it's like, yes, I do pray in the morning and at night. However, I need a little bit more. And so I think it's important that we bring awareness to, yes, everyone will tell you that bringing a baby into this world is supposed to be the happiest moment in your life, and it's going to be so much fun, and y'all about to take all these cute pictures, and then you're going to have all these cute little outfits, seriously, and they make it amazing, and you're like, yeah, I can't wait. And then your body start changing. I got attitude all the time, and the baby won't stop crying, and I feel like now all my attention has to go to my child, and what about me? Am I wrong for thinking about myself? Like, I'm really not happy right now. Then you feel guilty for not being happy because everybody else said you're supposed to be happy. And
right?
it's a lot. That's a lot to take in. And I've gone through it as well. When I had my son, I had him at 21 years old. And I was still at college. I was 10 hours away from my family. And I didn't want to go home. And I didn't know how I was supposed to raise this little boy and stay in school and live in this rinky dink apartment because it was trashed. um, and it was hard for me even talking to my mom too, because I'm like, I feel this way, I feel that way. And she even said, "You're not coming home, you better get that degree." Right. So I'm like, okay, I don't really know
Right.
what to do here. And I felt a lot of guilt and I put a lot of time and energy into him and I became a robot. And I was like sad as hell, like for real. Like down. And I didn't want to tell anybody about it because this is supposed to be the happiest moment in your life. And you had the baby. So why are you like all those negative thoughts? All those negative thoughts.
And it's actually funny that you said that because it's actually a term for that. It's called mom guilt. So that's something that
Hmm.
I actually talk to my clients about too. Like it's okay to pour into you first. So actually, I didn't even know at that time that proactively I was learning how to take care of me in order to take care of my daughter. And if I didn't do that, then again, not only would that affect me, but that would also affect her. That would affect the type of parent that I am, the type of mood that I'm in, the type of surroundings that I have her in. So I knew earlier that I needed to get those things in order to help me be the best mom that I could be, not only for her, but for me as well.
Hmm. And that lesson on mom guilt, the lesson on mom guilt. Like I learned that later, like I gotta get out of this. Like I have to now. I can't function unless I am pouring into, like, I gotta pour into me. Y'all already know I'm not y'all's mama right now. I gotta
Right.
go. And they know that. And I begin to teach self-care, especially
Yes.
to my daughter, mental health. To my, he's older and he's going through the high school years, the importance of mental health and what's going on, and talk to me how you feel and what's happening. I learned to pour that into them as well as I was going through, my mental health journey, because I just feel it's important. And you're right, we do want to break the cycle. We don't want any of those negative, hmm, or the baggage, I should say, the baggage from our childhood, to be carried over, or even in our experiences that we're going through, to be carried over to our kids. It's like, I am going to be the one to break this cycle. Like, I'm going to be the one to change the path. And yes, I've been through hell and back. I'm going to tell y'all about it. But this is
Right.
also how you get through it. So it's not negating your experiences. It's really embracing those experiences, because they ultimately do make us who we are today.
Yeah, and actually one thing that I want to hit on too that you just said is actually sharing those experiences with your children.
Mhm.
When I was in therapy, or okay, so my daughter's 12 now. So now we're actually have been through this long journey together, but my therapist has actually been open with me, and I still go to therapy to this day, everybody. So got to
Yes.
practice what I preach. But my therapist is actually letting me know, like, the things that I go through, that it's okay for me to be expressive to her, to let her know that it's okay. So me and my daughter are literally like BFFs. Like,
Mhm.
we talk about everything, but I love the relationship that we have because I like the fact that she's very open with me. We communicate about everything. Even now, she'll tell me, like, I just need a mental health day. And I let her know, like, that's okay. Like,
Mhm.
sometimes you have to take a break. So again, her being open and not afraid to tell me that, today is a stressful day for me and I just want to stay at home, or I just want to relax. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to do anything. I just
Mhm.
love the fact that we have that open communication. I actually had a few sessions with my mom, and my mom was actually telling my therapist, when we were trying to mend the relationship that we have, she just, one interesting thing she kept saying is, they don't understand. They don't understand. And the therapist was telling her the same thing that she told me. You have to tell her what you've been through in order for her to understand, because that
Mhm.
way it can help me in a relationship that we have, but also help me navigate how I work with her and how we can move forward, which is what I'm doing with my daughter now.
Absolutely. And I love it. That's beautiful. I
Thank
love
you.
it because it is very important, and that openness is so important. My mom wasn't open to talk at first. She's like, "I don't remember." Yes, you
Mhm.
do.
That's my dad.
You remember, because I remember like it was yesterday. Let me tell you real quick, since you don't remember. But I think it's important, like I said, to have that open communication. But I do tell my kids. But I will tell you though, before I started being super open, it wasn't until my son actually realized that mommy wasn't happy, that I realized I couldn't fool my kids too. And he was only 5 then. Um, and he had asked me, mommy, why are you so sad? And I'm like, what? Like, I really thought I was doing a good job. But that's when I realized, like, nah, girl, you have got to, you know, do the work. You've got to get better and heal, and your babies see it. And I do not need them to be like, Mom, I remember when I was 5 and you was doing, no, no, no. So let me get myself together and then communicate with them. But they will pull that. They do say I need a mental health day, but they do pull it too. Like, Mom, remember you telling everybody else about self-care. I'm like, you know what? Go ahead. I don't care. You better do that work.
Right, exactly.
So I'm really, really open to that. For your women out there, especially in the African American community, that are dealing with the mom guilt,
Mhm.
what advice would you give to them?
I would say, I guess my first thing would be to try to figure out where's that mom guilt coming from.
Mhm.
So what is it that is making you feel guilty? One thing for me, we talked about self-care, but again, my biggest thing is that you can't pour from an empty cup. So I know a lot of times we feel like we have to pour everything into our children, but we also have to pay attention to what we do and pay attention to us first. And I think a lot of times the mom think that, okay, self-care has to be a whole day. It doesn't. It can literally be something that's 30 minutes. But again, giving yourself that time. So even for me, one of the things that I started to realize was during COVID. Well, no, I'll take it back. So I have a funny story that my first breakdown as a mom was, again, like you were saying earlier, it's like all the time, it's like you're only taking care of yourself. And then one moment it just clicks that you have to take care of somebody else. So I'll never forget, like, I was single, living by myself. Again, everything I'm able to do, I could just jump up, go to the store, walk to this place, do this, do that. I was living in Chicago in a basement apartment, and I had my daughter in April. I think it was cold outside around this time. And I just remember, in the fact, I wanted to go to Wendy's to get a cheeseburger. And I literally cried because I couldn't just get up and go. I had to put this tiny baby in a car seat, wrap her up. And I think that was like my first, I don't know, I think that was like my first connection with the mom guilt, because it's just like I felt guilty for being sad because at that moment I wanted to be selfish, but I know that I couldn't. But then as I got older, then I started to realize you do have to have those moments of selfishness, but it doesn't have to be a whole entire day. It can literally be 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and it's whatever makes you feel good. So what I started to do during COVID, you know how we all had a routine, but then we lost that routine. So I actually started to build that routine in the home. So when COVID first started, I remember that I would wait. Let's see, she started school, I think at 7:15. I would wake her up at 7, log on to the computer. I would get up at 7. Or no, I would get up. Yeah, we would both get up at 7. I fix her some breakfast, log her on the computer, and then she started her day. And my whole day was structured around her. But what I started doing was actually getting up an hour before she did. So again, I would do some type of workout for about 30 minutes in the living room. I would do some affirmations that would take me all of 5 or 10 minutes, do a little bit of journaling, drink some coffee, and listen to some music, and then pour into her. So again, like the question that you said is for those moms that experience mom guilt. First of all, you have to figure out where that guilt is coming from. And then you also have to figure out how to pour into yourself before you pour into your kids. Because again, a lot of times we pour everything into the children that we forget about ourselves. And when we forget about ourselves, then again, our health deteriorates mentally and physically. We're not properly taking care of the nutrition, meaning that we're just grabbing the same McDonald's that we're getting the kids. So again, it's all about just time and preparation, and then knowing what are you guilty from and what ways can you work on it.
Yes. All of that. So write it down. I hope y'all wrote it down because it's important. I think that it's important to just be intentional. I always talk about when we start talking about self-care or talking about doing those things for ourselves, it's just be intentional. And I mean, like literally put in your calendar me time, whether it's 5, 10, 15 minutes. And when that alarm goes off, it's like, oh, it's me time. Let me go and action that. So now you've been intentional about it and you're putting an action to it, because our calendars, I'm sure, is full for everybody else. So-and-so needs this. So-and-so got a doctor's appointment. So-and-so got to go here. Da, da. And they're like, God, I'm exhausted. So it's like, okay, well then put yourself in the calendar because you seem to do what's in your calendar. So put yourself in there and then be intentional about those actions. It is very important to just understand that we have to come first, and it's not selfish. You say like, oh my God, but no, it's not selfish. Like we have got to put ourselves first, especially, I mean, all women, but us Black women, I'm sorry, we carry so much at all times. We have so much on our plate. We have a lot of roles, and when it comes to us, we're just expected to take it, I think, all the time, more so than anybody else. And so I really think it's important that we are intentional about ourselves and intentional about what we do with our own self-care.
Yeah. And one thing too, in order for you to be intentional, so this is one thing that I teach my clients is to do, like you said, scheduling. I call it time blocking too. So I do create a schedule at the beginning of the week, but I also literally have like a calendar. Well, I work on my calendar first. So I'll do my weekly schedule, but I do a timesheet as well. So it goes like it blocks off the hours in a day. So I put my schedule in there. So my work time, whatever I have to do with my daughter, whatever appointments we have throughout the week. But I actually go and I see what pockets of time that are empty. And then I schedule things for me to do, whether that's taking a 30-minute walk, doing my lunch break, or that's getting up an hour early to have coffee by myself,
Mhm.
listening to some music alone, journaling, taking a bath on Saturday night, drinking some wine, whatever it is to help you with yourself in order to be intentional with your schedule and your time. Because we don't have a lot of time because we're giving so much time to everybody else. But
Mhm.
like I said before, it doesn't have to be a long time. It just needs to be some time.
Mhm. Absolutely. So what about, because we talk about being alone, because I like my alone time. I like being like literally by myself. But what about the moms that are afraid to be by themselves?
That's a good question. I used to be like that.
Mhm.
So um, I grew up, I was the oldest of four at the time. Now I'm the oldest of six.
Mhm.
And it was always people around. So then the same thing when I had my daughter, still somebody around. It was the sisters growing up, then it went from me and my boyfriend to me and my daughter. So it was never really a time that I had to myself. But then I started to notice that I liked my time alone. When my daughter started being in school and I would have some, I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I think the alone time is very important because again, the kids get older, they get friends, they get busy, and we don't want to fall into the cycle of our whole lives are wrapped around our children and then they leave us and we don't know what to do. And again, that's a whole nother set of guilt and depression that people have because their
Mhm.
lives are centered around their children or other people. And when those people leave their lives, they don't know what to do. So I actually had talked to my therapist about that because I wasn't knowing what to do in my long time. So one of my saving graces was working out because it was just like, okay, that's the time that I felt like I got by myself. So again, I can put my music on, listen, do what I need to do, and then worry about my daughter after that. But I just think a long time is so important because you're able to get that mental clarity of what next, what should I do, instead of with the chaos and the clutter of just so many people around you. So a lot of people are afraid of being alone,
Mhm.
but alone time is essential,
Mhm.
especially like for any type of growth that you need to have, especially mentally.
Yep.
Alone time is important. So for those who feel like they're afraid of that alone time, I would say to number one, try to get, or the first thing I would do is to try to figure out what's causing you to be afraid to be
Mhm.
alone. And then once you figure out what is it, because it could be maybe some, for me, it was abandonment issues.
Mhm.
And that's a whole nother, thing, even though both of my parents lived there, but I guess because I had so many siblings at the time that I still felt alone and didn't know that
Mhm.
I felt alone. So again, once I worked on those abandonment issues with my therapist, then it wasn't hard for me to be alone, which is not right now. I just feel like I love my alone time. I
Yeah.
like it by myself. Like if I'm supposed to have plans with somebody and they cancel, good.
I'm
Cause
like,
I
yeah,
go anyway. Yes.
I'm the
So
same way. I'm like, I didn't want to go really anyway,
right. Like
but I'm
I'm just
good.
socially trying to do this, but really deep down inside, I want to roll up, sit on my couch and watch TV and rub my feet together.
And I'm good with that. Definitely have to be outside of my comfort zone for sure. But yes, alone time is very important and it is very scary. And it's sometimes very scary to be alone with your thoughts,
Yeah.
depending on how severe they are. But I do think it's necessary. I really, really do. Just getting to know yourself. Self discovery is happening all the time. I teach a heal. I use the heal framework, and it's a circle, and it's always going. Um, but you've got to learn how to be by yourself because you're you're by yourself. I mean, you're by yourself. Like having that person to lean on all the time is not going to always be there. So it's just very, very important to figure out ways to navigate and really enjoy that alone time. It doesn't have to be all the time, but you need that time to reset. You need to know who you are as a person. You need to really understand who you are, not as a mom or a sister or a cousin or auntie, best friend. Like you need to really know who you are. What do you like? What do you like to enjoy? What makes you mad? What, seriously, you have to do the work. You have to do the work.
Yeah,
Have
and
to,
I
have to,
think
have
that
to.
that was something that I didn't really navigate until after I got pregnant. So again, I felt like I was alone, which is kind of ironic because I felt like I was alone, but I wanted to be alone. So again, just navigating that with
Mhm.
my therapist was super important for me. It was like I wanted to be alone, but then when I was alone, like you said, I was in my thoughts.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to be in my thoughts. But again, noticing that was important for me to actually be in my thoughts and work through that to figure out why was I so afraid of being alone.
Mhm.
And so that was something that was kind of like a self-discovery for me, but also a good thing. I remember when I was pregnant, that was the first time ever in my life that I actually went to the movies by myself. I
Mhm.
actually ate dinner alone, which was just like before I would laugh, like people are so weird. Like, why would you do that?
I used to
Like,
say that too.
yeah, I'm like, I have all these sisters, friends. I got a boyfriend, a mom, a dad. I never have to do things alone. Now I'm like, I can't. No, I don't need to wait on you. I said I'm going at 11 o'clock. If you can't go at 11 o'clock, I'm gonna be there by myself. So I love my alone time now.
It's funny how that changes. Like as we get older and we start to really get to know ourselves, how we're like, I'm going, whether you're going to be there or not. I
Hmm.
need this moment. I think that's cool. I want to switch over to you as a trainer and how, not just a trainer, because you're in shape. You need to get me in shape. I'm about to sign up now. I look in shape, but girl, it's a lie. Um, but I look the part. But I want to talk about that as your client. Like, what's it like to be one of your clients? And then I want you to go into how you tie it into mental health.
Okay, perfect. So actually, I'll start with the mental health aspect at first because for me, my training is a little bit different because I
Mhm.
feel like mentally, one of the programs I have is called Mentally Fit. And I feel like you need to be mentally prepared before you get into your fitness journey.
Mhm.
So with my clients, I actually start in three areas. The first one, we start, or three phases. The first phase, we start with the mindset. I need to mentally get you there
Mhm.
before we even do anything else. Because again, and I've noticed this myself, when I first started my fitness journey and I wasn't mentally connected, I would just be going through the motions. So I would just
Mhm.
be going there. It'll be a lot of times I'll go there to try to be cute and take a selfie, get on the treadmill for 10 minutes and leave. I wasn't mentally connected with what I was doing. I was just going to say that I went and I wasn't seeing any changes in the scale
Mhm.
physically, like anything. So again, the first step is to mentally get you there. Then the next step or phase that we go to, which is the nutrition. So you need to, or we work with you to make sure that you're eating what you're supposed to eat as far as your macro breakdown, which is making sure you have the proper protein, the proper carbs, the proper fat. And we also teach you those things in my program and with my clients. So we work on that. And then the next step is to work on fitness. So we
Mhm.
actually have like a team of coaches with my program. So again, we have a licensed social worker. And then we also have a nutritionist and I have an accountability coach. And then me, I'm a master certified trainer. So basically with the whole entire team, we take you to a three-phase or three-step program in order to help you become mentally fit.
Yeah. I love your team aspect of it because
Thanks.
you really can't do it. I mean, you can do it alone, but just really adding that mental health part into it and having a team of people that you can rely on because starting your mental health journey is difficult and starting your fitness journey is also difficult.
Yes.
And they play hand in hand. If you're not getting the results you want, or if you're not mentally fit or mentally set, like you said, they all go hand in hand. So I love the fact that you have said, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to have a team of specialists that can help you through each step of the way. I think that's really important.
Yeah, and the reason why I structured and created the program like that is because I just related it back to my fitness journey. So
Mhm.
all the things that I had to go through. I remember, when I first started, I wasn't mentally connected. Then
Mhm.
when I got mentally connected, my nutrition's up. And
Mhm.
then after I got the mental part right, the nutrition part right, then it's like the fitness connected. So I'm like, okay, well, this is the type of program that I need to create for other moms who may be going through postpartum and they don't know where to start or what to do. Okay, let me help you. First, I need to help you get your mind right. Then I'm help you with the food, and then we're gonna work on the fitness stuff.
Mhm. I think that in saying everything, I'm going to tie it all together. And for those that are listening, I just want to reiterate the importance of really looking at your past and learning the lesson from your experiences. So when I hear your story, and it's similar to mine as well, by taking your experiences and turning it into something. Like you've really you've gone through a lot. But I think it was necessary, even though it's not ideal. It's not the best situations. It wasn't all like roses and flowers, but I do think it was necessary for you to get to this point and to be able to change so many women's lives. And I know there are some people out there that are absolutely ashamed of their past. They don't want to talk about their past. They don't want to look back at their experiences, but your experiences really do shape who you are, and they shape who you are as a person. And I just think it's beautiful that you were able to go through everything that you've gone through, and now you're inspiring so many women. And I think that's important to be an example. So you are really an example to so many out there. And I know they'll probably see you like, girl, you ain't go through that. Like, yeah, I really did. And this is what I was able to build from that. So um, how important do you think it is to kind of celebrate your past?
I think it's extremely important. I remember when I first started going to therapy, I was embarrassed. I did not want to tell anybody because just the thought of me actually telling those people my business,
Mhm.
I just felt like, okay, I don't know, maybe I just feel like it was kind of like stereotype almost.
Mhm.
But again, now that I'm out of the thick of it and I look back at it, I feel the same way about like what you just said. It's like, okay, it was a reason for that. Because if
Mhm.
I didn't go through postpartum, if I didn't get a therapist, if I didn't, run that race, if I didn't do the fitness competition, if I didn't hire trainers, I wouldn't be the person who I am today. If I didn't have my daughter, this
Yeah.
business would not have been birthed at all. So again, my experiences helped me become the woman that I am today. And I'm super grateful for that. I'm super proud of that.
Mhm. I understand because I was the same way. Like, I'm super embarrassed, going through depression, having these episodes, going through anxiety, super, super skinny, but sickly skinny, like trying to cover it up but putting on a face and not wanting to talk about it. So now I'm like, oh no, we gonna talk about it. Tell me what happened to you. Uh-huh. Okay. And this is how let me motivate you. Let me inspire you. Let me tell you my story because yes, that happened to me too. And I just think it's so important that when you start your self-discovery journey, when you start your healing journey, when you start your mental health journey, that you have to go back. Like we have to I always start with the H, which is honesty. Like you have to start with the honesty part of it. And that's being honest with yourself and being honest about your past, being honest to say that that really did happen to me. I'm not ashamed of that, but let me take the lessons from it and let me grow from this, even though it is extremely uncomfortable because it's going to be uncomfortable. I mean, every phase of your life, when it starts getting really uncomfortable, you're like, okay, some growth is about to happen. So either I'm going to go this way, I'm going to go this way. So let me go forward so I can continue to grow because I do have big dreams. And so I think it's really important to push that way and embrace the past, learn the lesson, and kind of repeat.
Yeah. And like you said too, I just feel like that's where the growth happens or it's going to happen. So even like now, the older that I get, the more that I realize like when setbacks happen, and I tell my clients this too all the time. So this is my perfect analogy. Like I feel like you have to treat your body like you treat a job. Things are going to happen in life. Life happens. Like they say, life be life and things
Mm-hmm.
happen. So again, I tell people the goals or whatever goal that you want to reach is like that paycheck. In order to get that paycheck, your boss is not going to pay you if you don't go to work. So a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times, sometimes you may get sick, you may have to take a PTO, you may have a flat tire, you may come in late, you may have to take a leave of absence because somebody died, whatever, but you're not going to stop working because you need that paycheck. So
Right.
I try to tell people that they need to apply those same, things to their life. And that's how I feel when setbacks happen.
Mhm.
Like, okay, I got a flat tire today, but think about all the other things that happen. Like, I'm gonna get my tire fixed. I got insurance, or whatever it
Yeah.
is going to work out. So a lot of times now, I don't even get upset. I'm the biggest crier. I'm a Cancer, so I'm a crybaby. I'm the biggest crier, but I'll be so proud of myself now when things happen and I don't cry. And I just feel like that's growth because I'm like, man, the old me, if I would have got a flat tire, I would have been calling my mom, my dad, anybody that'll listen. But now I'm like, you a grown woman, you gonna figure it out. So call AAA, let them change this tire and go on about your day. It's no point of crying. So again, I just think going back to the first thing that you said is just knowing like, is growth in that and to not be ashamed of the past because you learn from that going forward.
Hmm. Growth is necessary. It's so
Mhm.
necessary. And we're better for it. And we have so much more growing to do. It's like, am I done? No, because we have so much more we want to accomplish. So
Yeah.
we're going to keep growing and keep learning and keep gaining the experiences for sure.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I want to thank you so much for being a part of the Beauty and You podcast. Your story is wonderful. You're such an inspiration. And I know you're just going to continue to grow and do the thing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me too.
Absolutely. Can you tell the listeners where they could find you?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Tonyael and it's TONYAELM. My Facebook page is Tonyael Miller Fitness. Twitter and TikTok is the same thing, Tonyael, TONYAELM. And then I have a website, www.fitbytm.com. So
Yeah.
I'm on all of those channels.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to link all of that in the show notes. So it's easier to just click and start your fitness journey and mental health journey for sure.
Yes.
But again, thank you so much.
Yes, and
And
thank you for having me too.
oh, yeah, anytime, anytime. All right, you guys, until next time.